Welcome to the All About You podcast. My name is Sheila and I am your host. In this podcast, I invite people to tell their stories of their travels, hobbies, and passions. These podcasts are also now available on my All About You YouTube channel. So if you have a story to tell, please contact me on allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com and let's tell your story. Welcome to another conversation on the All About You podcast. And I'm delighted today to have Simon with me. And Simon is very interested in the world of personal finance. And we are going to have a crash course on crypto. Simon, welcome to the podcast.
Good morning.
Now, when I said to a few people I was going to do a podcast on crypto, everybody's hands flew up, their eyes rolled into the back of their head, and no, absolutely not. It's used for laundering currency. I like to know where my money is in the bank. Mm-hmm. So I didn't particularly get a very positive response to it. But I don't know that much about crypto, so I'm hoping that we can get a greater understanding and maybe not see it as the enemy.
Yep.
Okay, so Simon, first of all, what is crypto?
Well, it's a digitally programmed currency. So it's programmed scarcity. If you have one Bitcoin, you know exactly that you're one of 21 million Bitcoin. So there's never going to be any more than that. As opposed to, for example, the money in your pocket, where it seems recently they seem to be printing left, right, and centre.
Right.
So if you have a €5 note in your pocket, if they're printing more of them, then surely that's worth less over time. And I think we're seeing that now with inflation and everything costing a lot more than what it used to. So in effect, it's hard money. It's the only hard money.
I'm looking at you very puzzled here because if we talk about money, we've got coins and notes.
Yep.
We have got debit cards.
Yep.
We've got credit cards. And now we've got things like mobile pay and Apple Watch.
Yep.
Do we need anything else? Do we need crypto?
Well, I think you do, because it's personal economic sovereignty. So you can be your own bank. You have your own wallet. You can store your funds on your own wallet. You can spend it as you want to. You can send it to whoever you want to. It could be akin to emailing. I can almost you have an address and I have an address, and from my address to your address, I can send it from me to you. Now, with the current financial setup, I have to go to my bank. I have to speak to my bank. They usually take a bit of a cut. They send it to your bank. Your bank takes a bit of a cut, especially, for example, if it's foreign currency. And then they send it to you. So we've got two banks involved there. Why do we need that? Why can't I just send you money?
I mean, that's the thing with the banks, as you say, both are taking a cut and both are going to take their time, because obviously they're using our money to
Time is usually the other thing. It takes a couple of days here, a couple of days there, and who gets the interest there, for example? I mean, not that there's a huge amount of interest at the moment anyway. But they do keep hold of it, and they do what they want with the money. They can stop you having it, for example. Sanctions at the moment in Russia, for example, all of a sudden people are cut out from the financial system. You know, they can't get access to their money. Well, you know, there's rights and wrongs of that, of course. But yeah, I like my money to be my money.
I think that's a very valid point, because although we've all got our money in the bank in one form or another, sometimes getting your own money out of your own account in theory, your own bank, isn't exactly easy, is it? I think we've all had problems where they want extra identification, or I think now you have to review your bank statement and what's coming in, what's going out pretty regularly.
Absolutely,
I think the days of maybe when we used to receive a paper statement and some people, not a lot of people, but some people would sit down and literally tick off their checkbook.
Exactly, yeah.
That was, it was a bit of a lengthy job, but we, most of us used to do it. And again, with a credit card statement. And straight away, we could match up if something was wrong. How many people actually look at their bank account these days? And actually go, okay, have I got the receipt for that $29.99? And what was that $105?
Yep.
And if you think now, particularly with the pandemic, we are paying for very small purchases with our card.
Exactly, yeah.
So maybe we would have had maybe 2 pages of a bank statement.
Mm-hmm.
Now you might have 20.
Exactly,
because every cup of coffee, every
Exactly,
newspaper.
yeah. So it's very hard to keep up with
Exactly.
it. But also there's a digital footprint there as well. I certainly wouldn't be this kind of big brother's watching you or anything like that, but certain people do. They can pretty much go through your bank statement and say, oh, she had a coffee here, she went for lunch here, so there's a complete picture built up of you on with your bank statements now that you're tapping all over the place for various things. So yeah, it's just taking back control, really, I suppose, of your own money. If I want to send you money and you're in China, or if you're in the States or whatever, it takes 20 minutes for me to transfer money to you.
See, this is another thing, Simon. We are supposed to be a global community.
Yep.
Sounds great, but when you try to send money to different countries, oh my God, I hope you've got lots of patience.
Exactly. And also the levels of security. For example, at the moment, I'm trying to work out if it's my bank or if it's my phone provider. I'm not getting the text messages. You get those 2FA, the two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
They'll send you a text message with a number on it, and you have to type in the number. At the moment, I can't use my card online because Vodafone is saying that it's the bank's problem. They're not sending the text messages. The bank's saying, no, it's your phone company. They're barring text messages because they think they're fraudulent text messages. So I can't get. They're just kind of going between the two of them at the moment. So I can't use my card online at the moment. I can't get access to my money because they're fighting out between them.
And I think this is another thing, isn't it? No disrespect to you, but you are the little man against two huge organisations, and I don't mean
they
that
want to get you off the phone. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The bank doesn't want to deal with you. It wants to deal with big fish. The mobile phone company doesn't want to deal with you because you're already a customer. They're more interested in chasing, fresh blood.
Exactly.
And that's another problem, isn't it? Companies give you these amazing offers to get you in, and then once they've got you, forget it. No customer service. We're too busy chasing new people.
So I'd rather be in a situation where I don't need customer service.
So crypto is going to give us more control over our own money.
Yeah.
We are right in establishing that.
Yeah. There's a few ways you can keep it, but 2 main ones would be on an exchange. So you could kind of equate that to having your money in the bank. But the difference with crypto is that you can have your own wallet, just a little plastic wallet, like electronic wallet you connect to your laptop, and you can download the money into that. And that's away from any institution or any kind of bank or anything like that. You keep that in your pocket and you can take that anywhere. So you can go overseas with it if you want to, or move it around. It's up to yourself.
So I'm with you so far. Okay, so you physically put in this digital currency in your digital wallet.
Yep.
Can I go to my local supermarket and buy my week's shopping with this?
You can. These days, a lot of the exchanges would have Visa cards. So you can convert Bitcoin into normal currency and then use your card as you would do with your bank card.
So basically you would load the crypto onto your credit card, so your credit card's in credit.
Exactly, yeah.
Right, I get it.
Because you can either convert it into fiat, which is the currency that we use in our wallets, or you can actually spend the Bitcoin as well. So you can just use whatever the exchange rate is at the time that you use your card, it'll just convert it into it. It's a lot easier now than it used to be able to spend that. And what you're seeing is the kind of normalization of crypto. Is maybe 10 years ago, it was this thing that people used to do to be able to mail order things online or whatever. Whereas now it's starting to become more mainstream. And certainly a Visa card is as mainstream as you can get because you can pretty much use it anywhere. And most exchanges would have those cards now. It's much easier to spend it.
So your experience of spending crypto in Valencia, have you managed to do it?
Anywhere where there's a Visa card, sign. So any place that you can use your bank card, you can use a
And that's actually being put in, transferring the crypto onto the Visa card. The Visa card's in credit, and then using it in the shop.
Exactly.
But what about using the crypto direct in a shop? No?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
You can.
And the card will just convert it at whatever rate it is when you pay for the goods.
So when you go up to the cash desk and try and pay, do the staff?
No. It's a Visa card, and it's exactly the same as you'd use your bank card. The person behind the desk wouldn't know the difference. as long as it taps and as long as you can
Yeah.
pay. Whatever goes on behind the scenes is up to yourself. You have a dashboard there, you can convert the Bitcoin beforehand, or you can just convert it as and when you spend the goods.
And if you're using that to pay, do you still enter a PIN code?
Yeah.
You do?
It'd be the same as you'd use on a normal bank card. So in effect, it's the same way you'd use your normal bank.
Okay, I'm with you so far.
Okay, that's
Okay.
good.
Right, looking at my list then.
Yeah.
Okay, this makes sense so far to me. How do I get this currency? If I say to you, right, Simon, I want to be using crypto, how do I start? What do I do?
Well, you can go online and you can just use your normal credit card or your normal debit card on an exchange, and you can just buy it from there. So you just enter as you buy any
So
other
you
goods.
would open up an account with
Exactly.
the exchange.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you'd need, as you would do with a bank account, you'd need ID. So they do it all online. So you kind of show your passport next to your face and
Right.
a signature on a piece of paper next to it. You just buy it as and when you want to. What I found is good is that you can set up an automatic direct debit on your account. So I think a lot of people, they worry about the volatility of Bitcoin, and it is quite volatile. It does go up and down.
Right, so you do have currency fluctuation values, the
Yep.
same as you do in the euro.
Exactly,
dollar
yeah, but
pound.
they can be a bit more extended. What I'd recommend to anyone starting out would be you can set up a savings account. Just like any other savings account, it would just take a certain amount of money out of your account every week, every day, every month, however you wanted to do it. And what that does is it smooths out the volatility. Because if it's up here one week and down here the next week, you bought at the beginning of the week and at the end of the week, you've kind of flattened out the...
Yeah, it's a bit like share prices, isn't it?
Exactly.
In theory, the high and the low over
Exactly.
the course of a period of time is
Yeah.
like, you get a pretty sort of centre
But if you're
line.
buying a little bit every now and again, then it just kind of smooths all that out, and it just gives you a bit of exposure to this new asset class. So definitely Bitcoin would be where to start. But then
So-
you can start to go into the many other hundreds of different ones after that.
Right, so you can start by dipping your toe in,
Dipping your toe
open
in,
an account,
open an account, yeah.
maybe transferring €20 a month into
Yep,
the account just to
absolutely.
get used to okay,
Absolutely.
I'm not spending the family fortune, just a little transfer each month,
Yep,
and you're putting credit into
Yep.
your account.
exactly.
Okay, I've got the money. Let's imagine I've opened my account. I'm drip feeding £20 or €20 per month
Yep.
into the account.
Uh-huh.
Right, I've built up €100.
Yep.
I want to hit the shop now.
Okay.
So I go to my shop, whatever shop, and
Yep.
in theory, very tentatively, I would go up to the cash desk
Yep.
and the exchange would work well. I'd get my
Absolutely.
goods, they've got the payment,
Exactly.
everyone's happy.
Exactly. Although you can use it, and there is a card to use it, but I would say if you're going to be doing the savings account, is do it to an amount that you don't need to worry about. You're just drip feeding into it and just leave it, because we're not at the beginning, but we're kind of like at the end of the beginning, really, of crypto. I think it's before it's become mainstream. But I think over the next few years, it's going to be a good investment. It's been the best performing asset in the last 10 years. So if you just put money away 10 years ago, just put money into an account, you'd be well up now.
There's always an interesting saying in the world of finance,
Mm-hmm.
when sort of Joe Public gets to hear about it,
Yep.
we've missed the boat.
Yeah, kind of. But I don't think a lot of people are aware of it at the moment.
I think people have heard about it,
Yeah.
but still like,
But they haven't
no,
really investigated
absolutely not.
anything. Yeah. What happened was the pandemic hit, and I was at a loose end work-wise, and I didn't know what to do. So I went onto a website called Udemy.
Oh yeah, the courses.
The courses, yeah. And there's a huge amount of free material on there. And I heard about Bitcoin, and I was like, okay, well, I want to teach myself, because I've got nothing else to do. and I found a course on there. Now it was an old course. I mean, I think it was about 5 or 6 years old. So things had kind of changed a little bit, but it was a free course. So I was like, okay, fair enough. And it was about 8 hours long, so it was a pretty in-depth one. So I did the course, and I was like, okay. But one of the things I noticed was the price of Bitcoin at that time. I mean, this is like 5-year-old, and it was in the hundreds. So if you can imagine back then, if you were putting a little bit away every week, and it was in the hundreds, and now I checked it this morning, it was about 47,000. So if you'd done that back then, it's always your hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, why not? Just put a little bit away and just leave it. You can spend it if you want to. You have your card there if you want to. So there's no problem with that. But I just think as an investment, I think you should just kind of keep it to one side.
I think that's very true with any investment, isn't it? Because if you can just sort of move a little bit of money across each month and just leave it, it's slowly...
enough that exactly you can afford to do, and you don't need to worry about it because it does fluctuate a lot. What happens usually is people get scared out of it. Is all of a sudden it might drop 20% or it might drop 25% or 30% or whatever, and people tend to go. It's not for the faint-hearted, but if you've got enough, if you've got a little bit in there that you don't mind it dropping temporarily, because 9 times out of 10 it goes back up again. And if you have a look at the price over the last 10 years, 10 years ago it was $2, $3, $4, I think it was at one point, and now it's 47,000. But it's taken the scenic route, shall we say?
I think the thing with any investing, though, isn't it? Any investing is, I wouldn't say it's gambling, but it's talking about how you are emotionally with money.
Exactly.
If you invest, even if you invest say £100 in a company, and one day you look and your £100 is 120. Oh, great, that's marvellous.
Yeah.
The next time you look, it's 65.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's it, I've got to get out. If you are going to react like that, and they always say, have a look at your investments at the most like once a month.
Yeah.
If you are looking every day and every 5 minutes,
every little jitter
your blood
you'll be
pressure, and you're on the way to a heart attack. And they always say it's time in the market as a duration of time, not time, unless you are doing EFTs and stuff and you are basically gambling on the value of something. Absolutely. Again, that's not for the faint-hearted. But I think it's this slow burn.
Yeah.
£20 a month, put it in there, and if you can afford £20 a month, just put it in there.
Exactly.
Don't look at it every 5 minutes and just see what happens because there is this cycle. Stuff goes up, stuff goes down.
Exactly, yeah.
But if you look at the ups and downs, you've generally got some sort of middle ground with it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
But there is ways that you can. I mean, I'm starting to learn how to trade now. If you don't want to learn how the ins and outs of it, the day-to-day movements, then just do your £20 a month or whatever. But you can actually learn to trade the volatility as well, so the ups and the downs, and make money on both sides that way. Now that would be a bit more technical. That's
like the advanced class.
Exactly, yeah. But there's that's what I mean by there's always things to learn. If that's the way you wanted to do it. If you wanted to make it the way you make money, then there is definitely ways to do that. But if you're not bothered about that, then just do your little bit every now and again.
I think it's always interesting when people say, oh God, no, I'm not interested in the stock market, it's too volatile. If you've got a mortgage, if you've got a pension, trust me, you're in the stock market.
Absolutely, yeah.
Not directly, but you are.
Yeah.
You are. Looking at my list here, so we talked a little bit about crypto.
Yep.
We know we can use it to buy things in the shop. We know about setting up account and drip feeding. We've got a bit of jargon now. So what's blockchain?
Well, blockchain is a ledger.
Okay.
It's a publicly available ledger. So it's where pretty much any financial transaction can be put online and can be read by anyone. So what you find is a lot of things that are going to be going on to blockchain. Accountancy is one huge one, in the fact that you always see these kind of accounting failures. These big 5 accounting firms, they always tend to sign off on accounts that they shouldn't be signing off accounts on. For example, blockchain would alleviate that, because everything's publicly available. There's no way to hide money online, trying to keep it out of the accountant's eyes, for example. There's a big company that their accounts are so... Oh, that was at Evergrande, Chinese property company, like teetering on the edge right now. And it was only 6 months ago that Price Waterhouse or one of the big accounting firms... So
one of the big ones who should...
They signed off on it, yeah. And then 6 months later, they're found to be almost bankrupt. So what you find is it takes it away from these companies and just puts it publicly available, so everyone can have a look at how the company's going.
Right. So let me just understand this. So we've opened up an account.
Yep.
But I can't view how much money you've got in your account, and you can't view mine. So that's the same as the bank.
Yeah. But if I do a transaction to you,
so
for example, if I send you a Bitcoin, my address will be there, your address will be there, and the time and the date of the time will be there. So that transaction will be registered.
Okay, so that is crystal clear where that money's come from into my account.
Exactly.
Whereas a lot of companies, when you try and work out who's behind, where this bit of money's come from, it is so buried.
Exactly.
It's in the centre
and
of the
they
universe.
can bury it as well. So if someone has malicious intentions, for example, in that property company, for example, obviously someone tried to portray something that wasn't the case. Obviously they managed to do it, and they managed to fool one of the big accounting firms somehow. I mean, what these guys paid for. So what you have is this publicly available ledger that anyone can have a look at. Nothing can be hidden.
Because I'm just thinking back, I mean, there are so many cases where you are a builder doing work on my house.
Mm-hmm.
You're sending me an invoice.
Yep.
And I've had emails from you, I have invoice, right, this is just yet another invoice for
Yep.
me to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of sending the money to you, a third person, a criminal has come in, intercepted you or me or both.
Yep.
And instead of me paying you, my builder, I'm paying the $4,000 to this
Someone else.
another person, and he's gone off.
Yeah.
As far as you're concerned, you've given me the right information, and it's the information I've always used.
Yeah.
And this is where it's getting really, really scary.
Yeah.
And a lot of banks are washing their hands of it. And I'm pretty sure a law was passed to tighten all this up.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the banks were dragging their feet. I think the Financial Conduct Authority said, right, you've got like a year to sort this out.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of the banks said, no, we haven't done it in time. Well, hang on a minute. Because they didn't want to take responsibility.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, whenever I'm making a new payment, if I'm sending £100, right, I'll send you £1, confirm to me you've got it, and then I might do, the balance into
which is what you can do with Bitcoin as well. It's like if you're a bit nervous at first, just do a little test. So you can you have your address, you send like €1 or whatever to a particular address, just do a test, make sure it's gone through, and then you can do it for the rest of it then. So
because the thing is, in finance, the hackers, the criminals, whatever you want to call it, are always one step ahead of the Joe Public, the banks, and anyone else. Yeah. And it's getting worse. Yeah. And the amount of money, that is sloshing around, that is not getting to the right, is not a correct transaction, is just phenomenal. It is getting worse.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So with Bitcoin, it's impossible. There's a blockchain. Everything's all has its place. You have validators. Pretty much every computer, around validates transactions. That's how you get a reward. So that's how Bitcoins are mined. Is that computers solve complex riddles or equations, and whoever solves the puzzles gets the Bitcoin. So that's the way of securing the whole network. Is that there's always rewards going for computers to solve issues or solve transactions. With Bitcoin, it's completely secure. So yeah.
I mean, I think this thing is so, Simon, isn't it? It's security.
Yeah.
Because I think our trust in banks has gone.
Absolutely. Especially since the banking crisis back, 15 years ago now, bailed them out, and what do we get for it?
And I think the problem is we've lost our trust in banks, and then if we do have a problem, it seems to be we as Joe Public have to prove we've done everything we can.
Exactly, yeah.
So that the banks will say, okay, well, we are convinced you did this right, you checked this,
Yeah.
They seem to just want to put all the emphasis on you.
Absolutely, yeah.
As in, you are guilty until you prove to us.
I'm sure it's an insurance thing, get you to say you did it, and then we're rubbing our hands off you.
And I think particularly, we've all got so many account numbers, PIN numbers, passwords sloshing around in our brains. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. So I think we are all looking for a secure, trustworthy, honest system. I was going to say bank system, but I'm not even going to put the word bank in there. We are looking for a system, whatever that may be, that is honest, transparent and trustworthy and honest.
Exactly.
Okay, my next terminology is Bitcoin.
Yes.
What exactly is Bitcoin? Can I hold Bitcoin in my hand? Because
No.
it's got the word coin. I can't.
No.
Okay.
So Bitcoin is, as I said earlier, it's what's called digital scarcity. That's the way I like to describe it. The reason being is that there's only going to be 21 million of them. That's it. There's about 18 million of them currently around.
Right, let's just paddle on that one then. Why is there only 21 million?
That's how it's programmed. And that's the handy thing about being digital, is programmed into it. The value of a Bitcoin, it's going to be 1/21 millionth of all the Bitcoin that's around. The problem with the currency in our pocket over the last couple of years is, if you have a look at the money supply, it's just gone through the roof. So they're printing left, right and centre, which is feeding into inflation at the moment. That's the reason why the cost of living is going up, because the value of the money in your pocket is not worth what it was before. Yeah. So is it the price of goods going up, or is it the value of your money going down? That's the different way to look at it.
I think it depends what day of the week it is, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's more to do with the value of your money going down. Because if they're printing, I think in the States there was a statistic come out that 25% of the banknotes in circulation now have been printed in the last year. So they're just printing money.
But it's okay, one thing to print money, but how do you get it into circulation? Is it the banks are giving a mortgage to every Tom, Dick, and
Well, yeah,
Harry
these days, it's not really necessarily money printing. It's banks literally with digits on a computer.
It's just numbers on a page.
It's just numbers on a page. But it's just getting out of hand now. Is that obviously because of the COVID situation, they needed to get money out there. They needed money in people's pockets. There was a good few countries that were very generous with handouts. Furlough, I think, in UK. So people had a lot of money in their pockets. There's a huge savings at the moment as well, and that's kind of filtering into things like housing and all these other kind of things like fine art, fine wines. All of those markets have gone kind of through the roof because there's so much money sloshing around.
I think one thing of the pandemic, isn't it? I had so many conversations with friends and said the amount of money I have saved by working from home, not paying transport fares, not buying a coffee, not buying a sandwich for lunch, not going out for after dinner drinks. And they were paying chunks off their mortgage, off their car loan, getting the kitchen redone. There seems to be an explosion of people having, refurbs done in their homes. Yeah. So this is how we all got more money in our pockets, because we weren't out there spending. Yeah, and then it's coming back in things like house prices. House prices are through the roof. I know, but over in UK and in Ireland, for example, the last year or so it's gone through the roof. All that money needs to find a home, doesn't it? And it doesn't seem like they're stopping the money printers anytime soon. Back in after World War II, it was Germany. They had hyperinflation and they kept on printing money, and there's people with wheelbarrows with piles of money in there. That's happened to obviously not to that extent, but it's happening in some ways now. That's the reason why petrol prices are up. That's why house prices are up. That's why just your general shopping bill has gone up. The price of building materials have gone through the roof, with just general products like meat, eggs, milk, all of this kind of thing. So the nice thing with Bitcoin is that you can't print it anymore. It's a bit like money before the gold standard. The gold standard stopped in 1971 in the States. So $1 was worth an amount of gold, and you could go to the Federal Reserve and say, I want X amount of gold for this dollar note. Whereas now they abolished it after that. So therefore the money in your pocket is just money. It's just a piece of paper. It's only you have trust in it, and I have trust in it. That's the reason why I can give you a €50 note, and you can take it as a €50 note. But it's not actually worth anything. It's not backed up by anything, because they keep on printing more of them now. I mean, we used to be very much, I like to see where my money is. And a lot of people keeping it in a piggy bank, in a tin, under the mattress. People like to see where their money was. Then obviously we've gone through the debit card, the credit card, and as we said, the Apple Watch and all the rest of it. So crypto then is a safe way of keeping our money where we can not physically see it, but we can see it online.
You can keep it online, you have your own wallet, and you know that there's only going to be X amount of those in existence, which is not what you know with dollars or euros or
So
pounds.
what happens then? You say there's 21
Yep.
million, sorry, and we're at 18 million
Yep.
now. What happens next? When we reach 21, what's it that they closed the
That's
doors?
it. Yeah, that's it. It's finished then, and then the price just it's a simple supply and demand. Then the
But
price
won't
goes up.
it devalue once they shut those doors? Won't it devalue?
Could do.
Because
Who
it's like an
knows?
exclusive club and you're not coming in.
Well, if it's 21 million, I mean, how many people are in the world?
Don't
Billions?
That's a quiz
9
question.
billions or 9 billion or something, I think. There's only a certain amount of Bitcoin per person in the world. So usually when something becomes more scarce, it becomes more valuable. So if you're just building up your, as we were saying earlier, you're just building up your little stack of Bitcoin there, you're building up something that's becoming more rare and is going to become less accessible in the future.
So because you said it's become more rare,
Yeah.
it's a bit like I feel I need to rush out and buy some.
Well, I wouldn't rush out. No, I wouldn't rush out and buy it.
That's just a standard emotional knee-jerk
exactly,
reaction.
yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people do that, and they're like, kind of bet. I'm certainly not saying bet the house on it. I think if you have like some kind of investments or some kind of savings at the moment, it would be good to have that as a little side investment.
I mean, when we look at our bank accounts or our savings accounts and we're getting like 0.001.
Exactly, and the
there's
thing,
no incentive to save, is there?
well, no, there's actually a disincentive to save now. I mean, when I was a kid, one of the first things your mum says is, put your money in the piggy bank.
Put your birthday money away.
But these days, it's actually the worst advice.
Yeah.
Because if you're putting your money in the bank, which gives you 0.0001, and inflation's headline inflation is 8% at the moment, so it's probably higher than that as well. So let's say it's 10%. So you're losing 10% a year, or 9.99999% per year, by keeping it in the bank. So why would you do that? So what you need is an investment that has more than 10% growth for you to just stay still at the moment.
Which is a large number, as you say.
Which is a huge number. Especially bearing in mind the interest you get in the bank. So you need something that kind of balances that out. And definitely, if you have a look at Bitcoin over the last 10 years, definitely more than 10% a year. I can assure you that.
I'm slowly getting my head around this. I'm
okay,
not sure
well that's
I'm
good.
up to speed totally, but I'm sure there's a couple of other people hopefully listening to this who feel the same. Let's talk about some of the problems with Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're slowly getting our head around it. We're understanding the jargon.
Yep.
What could go wrong? Because I think it's like with any investment, read the small print, your house may be at risk, etc.
Exactly,
yeah. Let's talk about the risk side.
Well, because you're getting in at the early stages, and we are at early stages, it doesn't have some of the protections that you have with the normal financial system. So if you do put your money in a bank, especially in the EU, it's up to €100,000 you're covered. I think it's 100,000 or 200,000 maybe.
I mean, I know in the UK it's to do with banking licences, isn't it? This is the problem.
Yeah.
A lot of people think if I've got my money in 3 different banks and you are covered for, it used to be 85,000, whether that still is, don't quote me. But if those 3 banks share the same licence, you are only covered for one,
85,
not for 85.
Yeah.
So anybody listening to this, check your bank. And it's always a good idea, I think, to have a couple
to spread
of bank
out.
accounts.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And check is it part of the same bank, because it's like the high street. Everybody owns everybody else these days. And just check the banking licence with that.
Good advice there, yeah.
With any investment, there is risk.
There is risk, yeah.
Right.
And because you'd be a pioneer, so to speak, they don't have those protections. So you don't have the protection of 100,000 or whatever. Now, so if, for example, they were hacked. So if you keep your money on an exchange equals bank.
Yeah.
For kind of ease of jargon use,
Jargon.
So if they do get hacked, then you don't have the protections there that you would do with a normal bank. But hacks are very, very rare. So it's not something I would be particularly worried about. But that's the reason why you have your own wallets. Is that I certainly wouldn't keep an amount on the exchange, not a huge amount anyway. So you use your wallet and you download your crypto into your own wallet, So therefore you have it yourself. And then for that to be hacked is almost impossible.
So that is an extra layer of protection.
Exactly. So it's like having money in the bank as opposed to having kind of notes in your wallet or whatever. So I'd always suggest that you keep it into your own wallet. Buy a ledger, for example. A ledger is a good one to start with. It's a brand name. You can go onto their website. I'd always buy wallets directly from the manufacturer. Mm-hmm. Don't buy it from like a second-hand company or from Joe Blogs or whatever. The reason being is because just in case they've hacked into the wallet
before they even
they send it on to you. So always buy it from the manufacturer, just so that you know that what you have there is secure, safe, and you're the only one that knows the codes. I mean, in some ways, it's more secure than a bank account, because with a bank account you have a card and you have a 4-digit PIN number, mm-hmm. whereas with crypto you have just 12 random words that you'd have. So the chances of, someone getting your PIN number, that's pretty hard. But for someone to get 12 random words is impossible.
And that's a standard PIN / password.
That'd be a standard, but yeah. So you'd need to obviously write it down, unless you can memorize them, unless you're very good at that kind of thing, and you keep that password in a safe place. So safe deposit box or lock and key somewhere, or wherever you keep. You have a safe at home or something.
Because a couple of points have sprung to mind there.
Okay.
I was listening to a great podcast during the pandemic
mm-hmm.
called Crypto Queen.
Oh, right, okay.
Do you remember the podcast? I think
no.
it was a BBC Sounds, came out in the UK.
I'll have to have a look for that, yeah.
It was fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
There was this woman, I don't know whether she's from Nigeria or somewhere, and she basically got all these people to invest in this crypto, and it all went horribly wrong. Mm. And that started my interest about crypto.
Yeah.
Like any investment, we can always quote a horror story.
Yeah.
Another point I'd like to bring up about this sort of currency is it's the trust. And there was a great story, and I was watching a Netflix documentary, and I think this guy had lost something like £40,000 because he lost his password.
Right.
Now, with any password, they always say, don't write it down. I don't think there's anybody on this planet can remember more than like half a dozen passwords and half a dozen PIN numbers.
Yeah.
We've all, in the real world, mm-hmm. we've all got a bit of paper somewhere with it written, because it's impossible. Most passwords, as you say, maybe 8 or 6 digits, 4 digits,
mm-hmm.
that type of thing. So the fact here that you've got 12 random words, that's huge layers of the cake to find
it's impossible.
Your way through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it is very secure. One thing you were talking about that person on the podcast about. One thing I'd say would be never ever ever give your crypto to anyone else. Full stop. If anyone is asking you're saying about investing, absolutely not. But when you're investing for yourself.
Yeah. You're
doing it yourself. You're putting it onto your own wallet, onto your own exchange, and that's it. Never, ever, ever give your crypto to anyone else. Simple.
It's a bit like don't give your PIN number to anybody else, isn't it?
But it's like would you, if someone rang you and said, oh well, actually I've got this investment for you, and you just give me this amount of money, and you wouldn't do it. So you wouldn't do it with crypto either. The making the money bit, you do that yourself with your own wallet and your own crypto. So never, ever, ever trust anyone with your crypto. Full stop. Unless you're paying for goods. You're paying for goods on your card, no problem at all. Or something you know for sure, or you're using crypto for the first time where you'd normally use money. So it's a tried and trusted transaction. Fair enough, no worries at all. Anyone new starts coming in or offering you investment, but absolutely not.
It should be you direct. With
you're doing your own investment,
yeah, exactly.
And you read up about it yourself, and you learn your own risk levels and tolerance levels and that kind of thing, and you just gradually, as I say before, just buy little bits yourself. But guard that you would the same way you'd guard your money in your bank.
I think that although we said this isn't or hasn't got any protection for like the Financial Standards Authority. Yep. I believe that is changing. I'm sure I read something in the press the other day.
Yep.
And I believe banks as well.
Yep.
Because obviously they want to get in on the bandwagon.
Because people don't trust themselves.
Yes.
I think. Because people don't trust themselves with those codes or what happens if I do lose them or something like that. If it's with a bank, at least then you can go into the bank, and so yeah, that's how it's evolving. Now it's becoming more mainstream. You'll find you'll see these services pop up. The other thing I saw the other day was Bitcoin shops.
Yes, we've got one
around
in the
Valencia.
city.
Yeah. I've seen them. So you just go in there, use your card. I haven't actually been in one yet, but it's that public availability of it. 10 years ago to buy Bitcoin, it is impossible almost. Right now, it's just becoming so much more ubiquitous.
If we've got Bitcoin now, which is becoming more mainstream, where are we going to go after that? So let's say we are using our debit cards and our credit cards less. We are paying by Apple Watch, we are paying by mobile phone, we've got our crypto going on. What's next? I mean, I know I'm asking you to gaze into a crystal.
Yeah, well, I think, there's all these altcoins. So there's Bitcoin, and then you've got Ethereum, which is underneath there, and then you've tens of thousands.
So it's going to grow legs.
It's going to grow legs, but all these altcoins have different purposes. So you have some which are based around mortgages. They're doing mortgages on the blockchain. That was one of the applications I read about the other day, in that people can, with the price of property now, it's very hard to get on the property ladder. So what they do is they divide up properties into like hundreds or thousands or millions or whatever. So you can buy a share of a property. So that goes onto the blockchain as well. And so you can buy proportions of like a castle in France, or you can buy like all these different things property-wise. So that's one of the applications for one of the coins. So you have all these different coins out there that you can use for different purposes. So the sky's the limit. It's a new technology, and it's the internet of money. That's the way I kind of look at it. We've had the internet of knowledge, buy goods online now. Well, why not money going online as well? Truly going online without any intermediaries.
We've covered an awful lot here, and I do have to say my head is spinning a bit. But what should I have asked, or what haven't we covered that we need to? Have we?
I think we've gone through. Yeah, I think all the basics. I think I'd advise anyone to read the Bitcoin Standard. So you can go on Amazon, and it's an easy to digest way of trying to get your head around what is
So this is
technology.
a book on Amazon.
Yep.
Leading you through all the different vocabulary.
All the different vocabulary, and it kind of explains it in not a patronising way, but just a kind of like easy to digest.
That we can all understand.
You're gonna, I'd say it's probably one of the best sellers on Amazon. It's very, very popular. But that's I have a couple of copies. I've given it to a couple of people, and that Udemy course as well.
I must admit, this conversation has been a total education.
That's good.
I don't feel quite as frightened of it now. I think I have a better understanding of it. And as you say, seeing shop here in Valencia did make me realise it's becoming more mainstream. And I think this is the thing, isn't it? Understanding what it could do for us, how we can use it, the protection and the trust and the honesty, because I think that is a huge,
absolutely. Well, money's concerned, absolutely,
emotional.
Of course, absolutely,
and I think understanding the type of person you are with money, like any investment, if you were going to check every 5 minutes, and then if you're going to panic every 5 minutes, no investment is good for you.
Yeah, no, exactly. But you know your risk levels, and I think by doing that kind of little bit every month or every week or whatever, it just gets you into the frame of mind. How it works. It'll go through easy to read instructions on how to do it. So I just think to start to understand it, because to be honest with you, it's quite easy. If you get your head around it, it kind of makes sense. And I think as soon as you start using it, you'll start to see, well, it does actually. I
think thinking back at the days, when credit cards first came out, we all panicked, and then online banking. And I still know people now who know I prefer to go to the bank. I speak to Julie every Thursday. I take out my cash and I go and do my weekly job. That's fine. If that works for you.
Yeah, exactly.
The trouble is, Julie is becoming less and less now. So many towns
doesn't have time
now,
for you, or they don't even have banks anymore.
Don't have banks, and I think particularly in rural communities, banks are disappearing, or often now there aren't that many Julies there that you can sit and talk to. And I have to say, in the world of finance, I really do feel for older people who are having to try and get to grips with
the new,
you know, paying on your mobile phone and stuff like that. And then something like crypto, it's like, oh my God, is that Chinese? Is it Egyptian? You know, what the hell is it?
I met an elderly woman in a shop in Dublin, and it was when the euro changeover happened. And this woman, she kind of knocked on my shoulder there, and she was like, she's had all these coins out in her hand. She's like, "What's that there? What's that?" She says, I only just got used to decimalisation. Now they go and change it on me again." So she was going through. I mean, decimalisation been in a good 30 years at that stage now. You know,
and the rest. Yeah, I remember the public information films about decimalisation.
Yeah. I mean, that was in 2002 when the euro changeover happened. So yeah, she had a good 30 years to get used to that now.
And I think, particularly here in Spain, a lot of people still talk about pesetas.
Pesetas, yeah.
Simon, thank you so much.
No problem at all.
Taking away some of the mystique and wading through the jargon and explaining it in a reasonably simple way. Yeah. It's been fascinating.
Thank you very much.
Fascinating.
Thank you. But yeah, as I say, that book is the perfect way to increase your knowledge and get yourself out there and set up an account and just get started. I think the mystique will disappear after a while.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much.
No problem at all.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Please subscribe on whatever platform you are using. It is free, and if you would like to tell your story, please contact me on allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com and let's tell your story.